Good evening, everyone. This is Gambell with SimplerOptions.com, and in tonight's free video I wanted to give you two ways to look at two different underlyings as we head into the election. So that should all be pretty much getting completely underway here in the next couple of hours. Of course, we'll be hosting a class with John and Ruggie kind of heading that up. But as we get ready for tomorrow, what might an options trader be looking to do? Because of course, as the news comes out and as we find out who the new president will be, you're not really able to trade options products around that. But tomorrow, when the markets open, I'm looking at the places where I can find opportunity, essentially fading any extreme ranges. Now, the pros to this are that you might get a really advantageous entry on something. The cons to it are that you may get an entry and then it continues to go against you, or that you may spend your time planning out an idea and it never comes close to being filled, but it is at least worth setting up and taking a look at. The first chart that I'm going to share with you is here in Whole Foods, and I'm looking at the idea that overall Whole Foods is in a significant bearish trend. And overall, if it were able to get any type of strength, I would like to fade a move up here into 30. So with that in mind, one of the more useful tools here in Thinkorswim, we're going to reset this here real quick, but this is coming down and using a theoretical price. So if you go to your layout drop down, the second item from the top is theoretical price and mark. Of course, mark just being market price. Once you select that, you can see that you'll have a new column here that will give you the values for, in this case, the contracts I'm looking at are the Novembers that are about 10 days out. And what I would like to look at is the idea that if this were to rally, let's say what's the expected move? $1.35. Okay, so that's going to take you into just a little bit above $30. Well, when you reference your basic moving averages, notice how the 100-day comes to rest pretty much at exactly that expected move. So what we're trying to talk about here is the idea that if you did have that type of a pop higher, what would be the two trades to look at? Well, the two that come to mind for me, and we'll just move this out into tomorrow, which will be the 9th, and we're going to add that expected move to this. So two of the trades that I would be looking at, the one that would come from a little bit more of a conservative standpoint, and it doesn't bring in quite as much credit as I would like to see, but that would be the sale of the 30-31 call spread. It does bring in a third the width of your strikes, so that's not terrible, but I might be a little bit more inclined to sell this 29.30 and then look forward to revert back to the mean. If you don't feel like there's quite enough premium there for you, you can always switch this idea and instead come back and look at the idea of buying directional puts. Now this may seem very aggressive, and at the end of the day the main thing is considering what you have at risk with this idea. But consider the idea that if you want to be bearish this, the 32 put is currently trading for around $3.15. If tomorrow we see this same type of rally, they might be on a little bit of a discount, especially should you pause up here at these levels and then move back down with the squeeze. Now, given that this would be a directional idea, I might go fishing a little bit further for it, which means instead of being $1.35, let's be a little more conservative and say something like $1.65. Then when we price out that option, you can see that the 32 put would be going for about $1.70. I think that would be a little bit better price to come in there and buy it at, and then look for a profit target of somewhere about 50 to 70 cents for a conservative move lower, and then try to hold a few if at all possible. So I was going to look at two, but that was actually a fairly lengthy explanation. I would take those concepts and I would look at the exact same thing in Starbucks. Yes, these have squeezes that have been strong, but they will be coming into overhead resistance. And if we see a pop on these early tomorrow morning, I think there will be an opportunity to fade them. So I hope you find that helpful. And if you haven't signed up and you would still like to, there is still a little bit of time, depending on when you catch this, to trade the election live with John. And if that's something you'd like to do, I hope to see you there. So y'all have a great night, and I will see you when we know who the new president is.